For the final time, the IZOD IndyCar Series is set to race at Twin Ring Motegi, this time on the 2.9-mile road course. Welcome to live coverage here on Versus of the Indy Japan 300. This track, built back in 1997, has a 1.5-mile oval, a 2.9-mile road course, 2 dirt tracks, a go-kart facility, and a world-renowned racing museum. Kart raced here from 98 to 2002, and the IZOD IndyCar Series has competed here since then, but on the oval and not on this 2.9-mile road course that we will watch them race on today. And Jan has a closer look at the track.
Bob, you already mentioned that it is just under 3 miles. Interesting, when you look at the oval and the road course, you could run on the road course and the oval at the same time. They share none of the same pavement. In there into turn 5, those highlighted areas, that's where you're on the brakes hard enough for a possible, I say possible, passing zone. A possible here in turn 10. Most of the drivers say if you're going to go for a move right here, turn 11, it's down to first gear, 65 miles an hour after 165-mile-an-hour straightaway. A lot of fast straightaways and 7 places down in first gear, Wally.
Yeah, one thing about this racetrack, you know, normally when you have a lot of practice and qualifying, it rubbers up. And when it rubbers up, you've got a lot of traction. But as we see here in Hinchcliffe, these guys are sliding these cars around. They really didn't rubber up. And we may see some of the fastest laps of this race towards the end because we'll have a lot of running on it, and maybe they'll get some of that rubber down.
Here is the starting lineup. On row number 1, Scott Dixon has the pole position, and Will Power chasing Dario Franchitti in the points, starting in 2nd spot. Graham Rahal and Ryan Briscoe will occupy row number 2. The 3rd row, James Hinchcliffe and Elio Castro-Neves. Back in row number 4, Charlie Kimball and James Jakes.
They both have their best career starting positions, and consider they have each out-qualified a teammate. Kimball has out-qualified Dario Franchitti, and Jakes has out-qualified Sebastian Bourdais.
Franchitti will start in 9th position, and Marco Andretti will go from the 10th spot. Back in row number 6, Takuma Sato and JP De Oliveira. And that is the way you pronounce it. I know there's an R in there, but we asked and we got the information from the horse's mouth. In the 7th row, EJ Viso and Sebastian Bourdais. Alex Tagliani and Oriol Serbia go from row number 8. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Giorgio Pontano in the 9th row. Back in row number 10, J.R. Hildebrand and Mike Conway. The 11th row, Anna Beatrice and Hideki Muto driving the 17 car this week. Danica Patrick will start 23rd and Vitor Mira 24th. And Tony Kanaan and Simona De Silvestro go from the last row, Wally.
Yeah, we don't normally see Tony back in the last row. These guys had some brake problems. They worked through the issues. They got them fixed after qualifying. We've seen Tony come back, make charges to the front, and like he said, there's only one way to do that. Drive like a Brazilian. And that's what he'll be doing. He'll be fun to watch coming through the field.
It will be interesting to watch him come from the final row of this race. All right, let's talk about the Sunoco pit strategy, Jan.
Well, you heard Dario Franchitti already mention it during his interview, and that is the windows are very small. And I've been pretty liberal on this. 19 to 21, that's even on super fuel save mode. A lot of people, as you can see on the bottom there, if there's no yellow, it could mean a 3-stop race, especially for cars like this. Danica Patrick, those towards the back of the pack, look for 3 stops. But for Dario, Kevin, this is going to be where they have to explore strategies, but there's not too many.
Chip Ganassi calls the strategy for Dario Franchitti. With these tight fuel windows and difficulty in passing, how do you get him to the front?
Well, like you said, with the tight fuel windows, everybody's going to be employing a 2-stop strategy, or at least trying for a 2-stop strategy. Having said that, if there's an early yellow, I think you're going to see a lot of guys flip to a 3-stop strategy, and then you'll see some real racing going on in Katie bar the door.
All right, that's Chip Ganassi.
All right, let's check some of our onboard cameras. Here's Danica Patrick starting back in the 23rd position. Hideki Muto also will carry one of our onboard cameras, and he begins from the 22nd position. Watch for that car. It's a little bit different paint scheme on that car than we've seen in the past few races. J.R. Hildebrand carries the National Guard car. It starts from 19th spot. The Firestone onboard camera is being carried by Takuma Sato, He starts in the 13th position. We've already documented how much of a hero he is for auto racing fans and for the general population here in Japan. Ryan Briscoe has the IZOD onboard camera. He'll start in the 4th position. And starting on the outside of row number 1, denied the bonus point for taking the pole position, but Will Power will start from the 2nd position with the Verizon onboard camera.
And just watching these onboards, we went from a racetrack that was probably one of the roughest that these guys have run on all year to this place looks like glass. Very smooth racetrack.
Drivers have described it as being like a billiard table. It's so smooth.
But again, each complains about the fact that it's just been a little slippery out there, and that's something we will watch very, very closely, at least in the opening laps, as it gets rubbered in, so to speak. There's a great overhead shot showing you the oval and how the road course goes outside the oval on the back stretch and then comes around to parallel the front stretch of the oval as the cars get all lined up and get set to go. A Honda pace car driven by Johnny Rutherford has the field behind him, 26 cars strong. 63 laps around this track equates to just less than 188 miles of competition here this afternoon.
Wally, I bet you $10 that Tony Kanon's ahead of Danica by turn 1.
Oh, I wouldn't take that bet. Not on your life. I bet Scott Dixon has found his red shoe he was missing. We'll see what happens going into turn 1.
That comment from Robin Miller that you'll hear from as we go through the race. Now the cars begin to line up down the front straightaway, and the green flag is out. Here we go in the final race from Twin Ring Motegi.
What kind of start was that? I don't think half these guys knew they were starting. It seemed like, and Castroneves off the track.
That's very deep gravel over there, and we've heard that if you go in,
that was very nice.
Elio able to make it through the gravel. We've heard if you go in straight, you're going to be okay. If you get sideways in that gravel, you're done. So let's keep an eye on things. Here is Graham Rahal looking to the inside of Will Power, trying to take 2nd position, as now Scott Dixon has begun to pull away just a little bit from Power and tried to make that move early.
Yeah, Power lost a little ground on Dixon because Power had to run off the racetrack to avoid contact with Dixon, so he lost about 5 car lengths on the leader.
Now, when you saw Castroneves going through that deep sand, as you were talking about, Bob, that sand they have found, as long as you keep going straight and you keep it rolling, it's tough to get through.
As you see, Rahal putting the pressure on Power.
And that is...
boy, that was really a kind of a
real weird start.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys in the back that weren't even lined up yet.
Yeah, you're right. It looked like that most of them were not even anticipating the green flag to come out, but it has. And Scott Dixon is leading by just about a half a second over Will Power.
Castroneves, he is back to what, 12th, 13th spot. Boy, he lost a lot of ground. At least he didn't stall over there when he went through the sand, but boy, he lost a lot of ground.
Kimball's again had a great start, Wally.
Yeah.
On board with Will Power chasing down Scott Dixon up ahead.
Bob, what will be interesting here is to see if Will Power and Scott Dixon see what happens as far as how hard they run with the fuel strategy, because they may back off, or will they go like rabbits? Right now, Power's pushing it.
Let's take a look at this restart and see if we can find out a little bit more about what happened.
See what happened at Castroneves here. See him. I think he probably dove to the inside to avoid hitting Briscoe. They kind of got boxed up there. There was like 3 abreast going into turn 1. I think that was just an evasive move, but boy, it cost him on the racetrack.
The guy that really made a nice move there on this start was Charlie Kimball, who's up into 4th spot.
And Castroneves is back in 21st spot.
Wow.
Boy, just riding on this onboard is so smooth. I mean, just Muto's in.
Hideki Muto in the 17 car in for an early pit stop. Got rid of the black tires and now is on the alternates.
That is one of the strategies if you're on a 3-stop strategy. You want to get rid of those blacks, so you start on them, run a few laps, and now you're going to be obviously destined to a 3-stop race, Kevin.
And it's Hideki Muto's first race in IndyCar this year. He'd been here the last 3 seasons. He's had some success, especially when he was in Andretti Autosport. He does have experience at this track. He raced in the Formula Nippon event here earlier this year. He's been doing Super GT. He is hoping to get back to IndyCar full time, and he's hoping this is something that can jumpstart him to that path.
This is Briscoe running in 5th position. Franchitti is right behind him, and up ahead is Charlie Kimball. Franchitti has gained 3 positions since the drop of the green. So has Charlie Kimball. Kanaan is up 2, although he is still behind Danica Patrick. Danica is 22nd and Kanaan 23rd. So TK didn't make quite the move that we thought he might. Sebastian Bourdais has also moved up 2, and Pontano up 1. Bourdais moving up to 12th spot, and Pontano is up to 17th. Here once again is a replay of the start. Well, looks like that he and Briscoe got really close there.
Yeah, they went 3 wide. Kimball dove to the inside, and they kind of went 3 wide. And I just think that, see right there?
Yeah.
I just think Castroneves just wanted to avoid his teammate, and he was coming in there. He was smoking in there, wasn't he?
But when you keep an eye on Kimball, what a great first turn for him. He went way to the inside aggressively and picked up a bunch of spots. And for a guy, he has really been turning his season around.
There's Castroneves on following Hildebrand, 17th and 18th spot.
Elio way back in the 18th position as we check up front to see what's going on. It's still Scott Dixon leading Will Power. Rahal is running 3rd, then Kimball. And 5th position belongs to Kevin Briscoe. Ryan Briscoe.
The Indy Japan 300 on Versus is brought to you by IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar series. Available at Macy's. IZOD at Facebook.com.
Meet the Mazda 6. It's roomy, it's refined, and meticulously engineered in a wind tunnel. Because a car with class-leading aerodynamics is a car worth driving. And that's the only kind of car we build. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Now get the Mazda 6 with 0% APR for 60 months.
Story about a man with a car and a job, a wife and a kid, and his name is Bob. Just a regular guy with a regular car, but it's what he rolls on that makes him a star. His Firestone tires are known far and wide. The way they perform gives a sense of pride. That's Bob's story. He ain't no liar, because everybody knows the legends ride fire.
Legendary drivers need legendary tires.
From opening night face-off
through the Winter Classic, All-Star Weekend, and the raising of the cup. For the next 10 years, hockey is here. Through the incomparable lens of NFL films, we take you inside the game's most critical moments. NFL Turning Point, Thursday night at 10 on Versus.
Welcome back to Twin Ring Motegi for the Indy Japan 300. We have completed 5 of the 63 laps. We're on board with Takuma Sato, who is currently running in 10th position. Up ahead of him is Marco Andretti in 9th. And James Jakes up ahead of Marco as Tony Kanaan comes in. Now, Kanaan, as we indicated, had not made the move that we thought he might. He started 25th, moved up to 23rd, but now he comes in, gets rid of the blacks, and puts on the alternate tires. So we'll see if that helps Tony Kanaan in his march toward the front of the field. Very narrow pit exit here, and pit entrance also, for that matter. There's Will Power still running second to Scott Dixon. It's Rahal Kimball and Ryan Briscoe running in the 5th position. This is the 7th race in 2011 that Dixon has led, but only the 3rd on a road course. He only led 1 lap at Long Beach.
Little look inside and out. This is the fastest part of the racetrack, 165 miles an hour, then down to 65. In qualifying, people were using first gear, but I would doubt, Wally, when you're trying to save fuel, you'd use as many times. In qualifying, 7 times they go down to first, but when you're saving fuel, a lot of times that means you'll take them in second.
That's right. Yep, and that's what it kind of looks like these guys are doing. I mean, Power is catching Dixon just a little bit each lap.
Interval's about 1.2 seconds right now, and Elio Castroneves, as you know, got off course in turn number 1 and has dropped back to 17th position. And Kevin, they're laid out for him.
Yeah, they have to change their strategy. They started 6th, but that off in turn number 1 puts them near the back. They're not going to change tires. And they want some clean track to try to make some good lap times right now.
Yeah, I was when I saw those blacks laying out there, I'm like, wow, that's not a. I don't think that's a good strategy. So I think that was probably a good move to put on the Reds. They've only run 7 laps, so it's not like the tires are hurting at all. But he could sure use a caution.
The speed that these front 2 cars are running, Wally, I'm not so sure that they're saving the kind of fuel that they would need to go for that 2-stop strategy. I think they're going out pretty hard. Scott Dixon is driving hard enough to me, judging by these lap times, not far really off of where they qualified, that I think they're going fast and looking for yellow, or they're just going to go ahead and make 3 stops. We know that Will Power found that if he has to, he can drive away from people and make an extra pit stop like he did in Baltimore and still come out in the lead.
Whoa! That was close.
Wow.
Ryan Briscoe goes around Charlie Kimball, so Ryan Briscoe is now 4th, Kimball in 5th spot.
That was in turn 11.
Wow,
the
look
one
at
place.
Kimball sliding.
Yeah. Quite a few drivers thought that if you were going to be aggressive and go for it, it'd be in 11. And that was a great example of how aggressive you need to be to do it. As I said, 165, and then he waits, and he just barely, and what in fact, Kimball got on the brakes almost later than what Briscoe did.
That was a great pass. That was pretty nice.
That's an aggressive Charlie Kimball, though. He's really turned things around from where he was earlier in the season. Nice job.
Now he has to worry about Dario Franchitti, who is right behind him.
Which I don't think he's going to worry about. Franchitti is making sure he doesn't get in Franchitti's way. Remember, he's on Ganassi 2, if you want to call it that, and he does not want to hold up Dario Franchitti for the championship.
8 laps completed out of 63 here in Japan. It's Dixon, Power, Rahal, Briscoe, and Kimball, the top 5.
Is it here?
We got our best guy on it.
Invalid entry. Invalid
In IndyCar racing, it's all about speed, and the action happens in the blink of an eye. So you need something that helps you keep up, like IndyCar Mobile from Verizon. It lets you keep pace with in-race audio, up to the second leaderboards, highlights, and even driver tweets. Download it now! Before the season passes you by!
There's a reason why. In 6 years of powering every car in the Indianapolis 500 race, not a single Honda engine has failed. It's not the parts we make them from. It's the part we put in to every Honda.
TireRack.com is more than just an online tire resource. We're your one-stop online tire know-how, know-who, and know-what. With TireRack's online research tools, you'll know you're getting exactly the right tires for you, your car, and the way you drive it. Speaking of that, know what else? Our prices are practically unbeatable. And that's all you need to know. Buy your next tires at TireRack and experience how we're revolutionizing the way you buy tires. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
The IZOD IndyCar Series continues on Versus. Join us in 2 weeks for the Kentucky Indy 300. We'll be back on an oval, and Dario, well, will he have an advantage over Will Power or not? Sunday, October 2nd, coverage begins with the Firestone Indy Light Series, followed by the Kentucky Indy 300 at 2 o'clock Eastern. Just 2 races to go after this one, both on an oval, Kentucky, and then the final race, the World Championships at Las Vegas. Dario Franchitti has been able to get around Charlie Kimball, move Franchitti up to 5th, and Kimball has now lost 2 positions in the last few laps, slipping from 4th to 6th.
Now, the effort that he had to put forward to get by his teammate is going to be much, much different than the effort it's going to be to get by Briscoe.
Yeah, it always hurts when Castroneves goes out like he did, because that's one more jam card they don't have for the team.
Yep. Well, the interval a few laps ago was 1.2 seconds, and then it went down to 0.8 of a second, and now it's up to 1.7 again, the advantage that Dixon has over Will Power. And there are the points as of now, as Will has gone on top of Franchitti by 5 points. We started the race just the other way around, with Franchitti 5 better than Power, but as they run right now, Will has the points lead.
But I think that there's a couple of different things going on at the same time, Bob. Just the way, and we've talked about this before, as hard as Scott Dixon and Will Power are running, I don't think they're running their race strategy the same way that people behind like Franchitti might be. So I do think there could be a couple things going on at once here. Maybe a couple of rabbits are going out there, but we may actually have a couple of things going on at once in the same early lap segment.
Had a shot there of Takuma Sato. He is currently in 10th position still. Hasn't moved in the last few laps. By the way, the pictures coming from NTV. Wow. We don't have real control over what you're seeing, except in a few instances. So, of course, they are interested in keeping track of their hometown hero.
Bob, we don't have any control over what Wally says either.
That's very true. It seems like right now with Power here, it seems like his car is loose, because you can hear how he puts the throttle down. He's really laying the throttle down easy coming off the corners. And I believe he's got a rear grip issue right now.
And what some of the drivers were saying is that as the segments go on, the rear tires are wearing faster than the front. So if you started with a car that was pretty well balanced, it would, Wally, start to go loose as the rear tires lose some grip. They don't wear out, they just lose their sweet spot.
Because he's losing ground on Scott Dixon.
Here's Danica Patrick, who is running in 19th position. Simona De Silvestro right now is a driver who has gained the most positions since the start of the race, 5. But Danica, along with Mira and Franchitti, have all gained 4 positions each. So Danica up to 19th.
And you can tell whether someone is in fuel save mode on how the engine sounds just before they brake. And when you heard Danica Patrick there just before she got on the brakes, there was a bit of a coast zone. You heard it just kind of throttle back. So apparently the way she came down into turn 11, she's on fuel save mode.
And she's also, if you listen to the way she's shifting, she's short shifting. She's not, doesn't sound like she's bringing the R's up as much as like power was. So when you short shift, you're using less fuel. You're not turning as many RPMs.
So listen to the brakes here. See, just before the brakes, you hear that engine note kind of goes down a little. That's that kind of coast period, and that's one of the big tricks of saving fuel if you're in that strategy.
9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th right here. Marco Andretti running in 9th, then Sato.
And Marco's not on the reds. He's on the blacks, so we've got a lot of cars behind him that are on the reds.
And Marco was the highest qualifier in 10th to start on the primary tires. And it was interesting. This race is the first time I can remember that it was evenly split at the start of the race. Michael Andretti, of course, watching to see if he can, if his son can hang in there on the blacks, because that's part of that strategy. Put him on, and he'll be thinking, I need an opportunity to get my son off of those, because today you want to be on the reds.
But he's not. Yeah, we're 13 laps in. So do you go for the pit window, or if these guys get by, do you just duck in and change the tires?
Well, typically, if you went to primaries to start, you would think that means you're going to go with the 3-stop strategy. Kevin?
Not hearing anything from Will Power on the radio as far as how the car is handling, but I can tell you that throughout the weekend, everybody's been talking about rear grip problems. That's been an issue. The general consensus is that it's really tough to put a complete lap together. I think I've heard more complaining on the radio this weekend than most weekends. They love the track, they love the challenge of the track, but it's just very difficult to get a full lap in without making any kind of mistake. And also people have talked about having difficulty getting the power down coming out of the turns.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Well, Will Power continues to chase Scott Dixon. It's a 2.5 advantage that Scott has over Will. Graham Rahal 3rd, Ryan Briscoe 4th, and Dario Franchitti running 5th at Motegi. This year in the IZOD IndyCar Series, Will Power is the only driver for Team Penske who has had a win, and Power has won 6 times. But on the bottom line, you see there that Helio Castroneves is the only driver who has not had a DNF this year.
That's pretty bleak, isn't it? That's when you start not liking your teammate.
There's the captain, Roger Penske, as he looks on. Still up front, it's Power chasing Scott Dixon.
But Bob, what's happening is that Scott Dixon is starting to slow down, and I think he's slowing down because they're realizing that maybe going out like a rabbit is not the thing to do and getting on a different strategy. He's now starting to back up to Will Power, not necessarily because Will Power is going quicker, but Scott Dixon, if you had to take anyone in the field, is probably the best driver at making fuel, because he drove for quite some time for Toyota when their way of winning races was strictly through fuel economy, and they went and tested day after day after day at Mid-Ohio, places like that, and he is one of the best. And I would say they've realized from the calculations, we were going too fast. We have to back off, save fuel, because if we stop 3 times and they stop twice, we're cooked.
J.R. Hildebrand runs in 17th position. Not much traffic around him. Ryan Hunter-Ray is up ahead of him, but quite a few car lengths. And Mike Conway is behind him. And J.R. Hildebrand is in a torrid battle with James Hinchcliffe for Sunoco Rookie of the Year honors. That battle is as close as the overall championship battle.
J.R. Hildebrand is driving with a broken bone in his right hand, right above his right index finger. He suffered that near the end of the Baltimore race. It's really just an annoyance. It's not having any impact on his weekend.
I wondered about that because he was on my flight coming back from Baltimore, and I noticed his hand was bandaged in his finger, and I asked him what happened as he walked by me, and he said, oh, whoops, we got a car off track.
Pantano.
Giorgio Pantano. But he's going to be able to get back on course. So that sand and gravel slows him down, but they're able to go through it and keep going.
New colors for Pantano. That's Kona Deep, one of Robbie Buell's sponsorships. So Dreyer and Reinbold, and look at that, an aggressive move up the inside of Simona de Silvestro has gone just a little bit wrong.
She was probably hoping he hit her to take out pork chop and she get another car before the year's over, but sadly he missed her.
You're referring to the car.
I'm referring to the car,
chop.
yes. I know you like. Yes, it's an old nasty car that's been pieced together. It's the oldest Dallara on the field, and it's probably been crashed and rebuilt about 15 times.
Seems like just when you think power's catching Dixon, Dixon pulls out just a little bit.
Yeah, it's never really been down under a second, except for maybe 10 laps into the race.
And I just have the sense that they are now driving to a number. They're looking on the dash. They're having constant communication with the team, telling them the number that they need to hit.
And I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they'd just have enough fuel to go race.
Why can't they?
Well,
why is every series fuel mileage now? NASCAR, IndyCar, everything but sprint cars.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I just don't understand it. I mean, these guys are driving these fast race cars. They should be able to do it every lap and not worry about saving fuel.
Well, it's just a strategy. They have plenty of fuel. It's not like they're somehow short on fuel. They just know that if you have to make one more pit stop than someone else, you're going to give up a lot more track time than if you drive just a little bit slower. So unfortunately, it's just the mathematics that they've found that if you spend less time on pit road than you do on the racetrack, that's how you win races. And
I hate math.
Well, that's why.
These cars have been running in line for several laps now on board with Takuma Sato. Scott Dixon is the leader of the race.
For 125 years, Sunoco's been propelling people forward to their destinations and to their victories. And as of 2011, we'll do the same for some of the world's greatest drivers as we become an official fuel partner of IndyCar. We'll fuel their victories the same way we've been fueling yours. Because winning is the greatest feeling in the world.
You may come as schlubs, but you will leave with swagger. Exhibit A, khakis to work? What a schlub. Exhibit B, men, this is style in motion, and that's a playmaker. Style is a statement, gentlemen, and a statement we will make.
Don't worry, Lucky. These Wheat Thins Crunch Sticks will save us. Look!
Wheat Thins Crunch Sticks. Try our new flavors.
Part of my job is teaching my patients how to take insulin, but I've learned a lot from patients who use FlexPen.
FlexPen comes pre-filled with the insulin I take, and I can dial the exact dose of insulin I need.
I live my life on the go and need an on-the-go insulin. I don't need to carry a cooler with FlexPen.
Novolog is a fast-acting man-made insulin used to control high blood sugar in adults and children with diabetes. Do not inject Novolog if you do not plan to eat within 5 to 10 minutes after injection to avoid low blood sugar. Tell your healthcare provider about all medicines you take and all of your medical conditions, including if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. The most common side effect of Novolog is low blood sugar. Other possible side effects include reactions at the injection site. Get medical help right away if you experience serious allergic reactions, body rash, trouble with breathing, fast heartbeat, or sweating.
Ask your healthcare provider about Novolog FlexPen today.
Learn more about the different insulins available in FlexPen at myflexpen.com. FlexPen, insulin delivery that goes with you.
Pat was born with giant foam hands. He is every team's #1 fan. Pat and his friends don't watch games from a couch, they watch them in Vegas, where it's always game on. It's not easy playing golf with giant foam hands, but Pat's played every course in town. When he's not hitting the links, Pat's probably at the rodeo, the race, or the fight. If he can get his foam hands on tickets, he'll be there. So if you see him on the strip, shake his hand. Just don't expect it to be firm. Blow out your fantasy at visitlasvegas.com.
Welcome back to live coverage of the Indy Japan 300 from Twin Ring Motegi. 18 of 63 laps have been completed and pit stops are imminent. We expect Will Power to be in shortly. There's the leader of the race, Scott Dixon, as Will continues to run in second position to him. Graham Rahal now third, then Ryan Briscoe and Dario Franchitti.
And the most important thing, Bob, is that they are just closing in on that window that we talked about. The window opens at 19. You're even safer if you can go to lap 20. And if Scott Dixon peels off here, he does not, nor does Will Power. So that answers the question. They went out fast, then they thought better of it. They slowed down.
Whoops. Well, Takuma Sato, yeah. JP de Oliveira is also, I believe, the one that went off course.
You know, Robin, I learned you don't want to take out the Japanese hero when you're in Japan. I'm speaking from experience, of course.
These 8 cars were running nose to tail for many laps, and de Oliveira decided that he was going to give it a whirl, but it didn't work.
And when they collided, you see it actually knocked the wheel out of his hands. He'll come flying up the inside and pow, right there. You could see his hands did JP. It came right off of the steering wheel in the impact, and they both recovered.
JP's going to need an armed guard to leave the track. Just like Wally at Suzuka a few years ago.
Call me, I got the number.
Tell the people that story.
Oh, it was a cup race when I was in Suzuka, and I happened to take out the Japanese hero with about 4 laps to go, so I wasn't really popular when I was leaving Japan.
Way to go, Wally. What were you thinking? This is Ryan Briscoe running fourth.
Peels off here for pit road, which will be on the left.
Nope.
No, they're not there yet, Bob. Oh, remember, because there's the road course and then there's oval. So
there we go.
Both,
and so is Briscoe.
Both coming on pit load.
All right, let's go down to Kevin Lee.
We're going to see a lot of activity here the next couple of laps. Tires not out for Will Power or Scott Dixon. We're watching Graham Rahal come in right in front of Ryan Briscoe. Note on Briscoe's car, Rick Reineman is back over the wall, changing the outside front. He's taken back over as the crew chief of that team. Matt Johnson is taking over the Chevy program, developing the car for next year. Great stop for Briscoe. He gets a spot. He gets out ahead of Rahal.
Not a good stop for Rahal.
Never is. He always loses spots in the pits.
And de Oliveira is pulling off course.
Maybe out of fuel.
This could bring out a full course caution. Car is just shy of pit entrance.
So what you want is you want to be sure you pit now. You need to get into the pits before they close it. So if you see him stopped, you need to get in. Look at this scramble on pit road, but many people didn't stop. That could cost them if they go yellow.
Simona De Silvestro comes out. So does Elio. There's Vitor Merin, the ABC Supply Company special.
He can't get the fuel hose in. His car's too far away.
Yep.
Wow. That is a huge loss of time. And you know, if you have multiple cars coming in, that's an easy thing to do. Here comes the leader.
And second. Dixon and Power both on pit lane.
And they made it before it went yellow, so they're clean.
Dixon out.
Will Power is in. He's at the front of pit road. Dixon, the leader, is going to come out. There's a race on pit road, and Dixon is going to just barely squeeze in front of them. And this is a tough area because it funnels down into one lane, so you can't race side by side exiting pit road.
That was close. Now we'll see what Will can
also
do.
Back out too.
See if Will Cal can pass him. Will slides a rear end of the car around, but and now we have the full course caution.
Man, were those guys fortunate, and I have a feeling that race control gave them a break. That they waited. They knew that if they had thrown the yellow, they would have caught out the 2 leaders, and they waited, and that was a good call.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You're 100% right, Jan.
Paul Blevin to the flag stand, waves the double yellow, so the first full course caution of the race comes at lap number 22.
And the car was, the car was in a safe area, so they could go ahead and do that. It wasn't blocking the track.
Right. Homatro's safety vehicle comes to the aid of the new kid in town, JP de Oliveira, who has a lot of experience at this racetrack and had big hopes for his first IZOD IndyCar Series event.
And he was fast from the very first practice, being the reigning Formula Nippon champion, and raced here, in fact, won in his last 2 appearances here, so definitely a circuit specialist.
And he dropped the line, so they're going to have to take that back to him again.
This is good in a way, though, Bob, because every single lap under caution gives you more fuel, gives you an opportunity to do what both Robin Miller and Wally Dahlbeck say they hate, and that is run on fuel numbers. And when you have cautions, you don't have to. So there you go.
Yeah, and when you guys race, the last thing people want to hear on television, a guy say, "Oh, I'm saving fuel." Oh.
Yeah, he locked the right front up and it just quit turning. Unfortunately, Sato helped him slow down.
But shortly after that, de Oliveira, his car came to a halt just off the racing surface, but it has resulted in the first full course caution of the race. There is Takuma Sato. He is currently running in the 20th position. We're under caution with Scott Dixon still leading here at Japan. The series, it's working its way toward the World Championships in Las Vegas, and our slot machine will tell you where they were in terms of points after each and every race this year. Look at that. After Milwaukee, they were tied in points. We move up through Edmonton, Mid-Ohio, Loudon, Sonoma, the most recent race, Baltimore. There you go, the 5-point separation. And where will they fall after this race here today at Twin Ring Motegi? Well, on this date, September 17th in 1960, they ran the Hoosier 100 for the dirt cars at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. And A.J. Foyt won that one over Tony Bettenhausen and Gene Force. In 1977, the Michigan Grand Prix had Gordon Johncock taking the checkered flag first, with Johnny Rutherford second, and look who finished third.
I had a good run that day, Bob. Thought I had the car to beat.
I think your dad would have an argument with you on that point.
Throw me a bone once in a while, will you? Well, I hope this restart's a lot better than the start, Robin.
Oh, my God. I mean, that made the Indy 500 start look good.
By the way, we saw Vitor Mira and the problem he had on pit lane. A.J. Foyt is not in Japan because he's home. His house and the ranch was very close to the wildfires that were burning in Texas. All is well, we're glad to report, and glad that you are watching A.J. Foyt. A report on James Hinchcliffe. Here is Kevin Lee.
It started out really well for Hinchcliffe today, starting in the 5th position, or at least the track position started well, but it hasn't gone well all day today. He wasn't happy with the car in the warm-up, so he said they took a big swing at it in the race. He lost a few spots in that first inning. He had fallen back to 10th, but then major problems on that pit stop. They dropped a wheel nut, and that lost him 12 positions on track. So Hinchcliffe, who started up front, is now running at the back.
Wow.
Yeah, back in 20th position, and de Oliveira has jumped out of his car.
My Japanese isn't very good, Bob, but I believe there's a bounty on him. He was told to get out of the car,
and get in
a cab, and get the hell out of Dodge and head for the airport.
And he is a fan favorite, actually, or was a fan favorite, I should say, here in Japan, having raced here a lot. And that was part of the reason why he had an opportunity to run an IndyCar, because he's run lots of laps here in other series.
And as is the case, as we take a look
at the initial
this is
start.
the start of the race, yeah.
And again, Kimball aggressively up the inside, and that checks up Castroneves behind Briscoe.
That was good. Kimball passed 3 or 4 cars there. That was nice.
Another overhead shot as we see Elio off into the gravel, and Kimball moving up through 4th spot after starting in 8th.
Was that Hinchcliffe that locked up the right front, and that's kind of what moved Briscoe out. That angle was a great angle. I didn't notice the smoke off the right front of Hinchcliffe's car.
Still under caution. We'll take another break with 24 laps completed. On lap number 25 of 63, Dixon leads Power and Briscoe. Should be going green here in just a moment. The biggest movers so far. Look at this. Tony Kanaan, who started back in 25th, we saw make an early pit stop, has moved up to 7th position, gaining 18 spots since the start of the race. Here comes the restart as the cars line up 2 by 2. Here we go as Scott Dixon takes off toward turn number 1.
Franchitti got into Briscoe.
Yeah.
He got into Briscoe, and Briscoe got into Rahal.
This is points, big in the points race here, guys.
Charlie Kimball tries to get back on track.
Well, Dario's still running.
Wow. Briscoe has no power, so we're in a full course caution once again.
Boy, Kanaan's licking his chops right now.
Yeah, he needs a lot. Oh, and Graham Rahal.
Well, Briscoe hit Graham after Franchitti knocked Briscoe out. Yeah, so another good qualifying effort goes for naught.
Just shredded the tires. In fact, I think a lot of that might be pickup, actually, because when you get offline.
Every position important here in the last 3 races of the year, and Will Power has all of a sudden taken a 23-point lead on Dario Franchitti in the championship battle. Here's the replay.
Dario. Yep. And that just starts a domino effect. That's definitely what started
contact.
Let's see what kind of penalty he gets, because he better get one.
Because he just
That's
we've been talking about it all year. Hey, you punch somebody in the right rear going into a corner.
Yep.
You should be paying a visit to pit lane.
I mean,
3 abreast going into the corner, and
well, that's exactly what Briscoe. He tapped Ryan Hunter-Reay, and he got a penalty. So Dario deserves a penalty.
Look behind, and I mean. What can you say? I mean, there's no way.
That says it all.
Yeah.
You don't really have to say anything.
Chip and Roger in contention for the championship. Chip does not look happy.
No. And of course, Chip makes the calls for Franchitti, and Roger makes the calls for Briscoe. Franchitti is still rolling. Briscoe only just now getting restarted.
Well, a new nose, and they're going to change rubber. And away he goes. Well, almost a 26-second pit stop.
I believe there's Briscoe. hitting his pits.
Yeah, so he got refired. They'll check it over carefully.
That's the way the points are broken down.
And you're right, Jan, that was build-up because they didn't change the tires. So as soon as he got running again, he cleaned that off.
At first, it was weird. It looked like they had been shredded.
Yeah.
No, but it was just you get offline, and that's just all that pickup that builds up on the tires. Right then.
Well,
move
we shall
guys.
see.
Yeah, make a pit stop, move them to the back, and let's try that again. In the meantime, we wait to see if race control thinks that that is different than what we saw in Baltimore.
We're in close contact with race control, and so far nothing has been said. They are looking at it. As Briscoe catches up to the rear of the field.
Take a look here. Now watch Franchitti dives to the inside. Clips the right rear of Briscoe, which then he collects Graham Rahal.
And right at this point, when you look at avoidable contact, that means you put your car in a place where you could avoid. And I think looking off the back of Briscoe, you can see that that just wasn't on.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, that were the very same words that we used in Baltimore.
Right.
With Ryan Hunter-Reay and Briscoe.
Briscoe, absolutely.
And so it's a very similar situation.
And Briscoe and Hunter-Reay at Barber.
Exactly. Now, the penalty for that contact in both occasions was a drive-through penalty once you go back to green. But first, they would have to make an assessment if they deem that to be avoidable contact. If so, that would be what they have ruled penalty-wise in the past.
There are the points. Dario now trails by 23 as he has dropped back to 23rd position, and Will is still second. Kevin Lee as Graham Rahal will be on pit lane again.
He motors in. Let's see if they take a look for any issues with the car. Right now, they're just changing all 4 tires. They're putting on the primary black tires. They're taking a look at it. Looks like no issues with the car. And Rahal is back out, but he's lost a ton of track position.
And the word apparently is that the 10 car will be penalized for avoidable contact with that little incident and will go to the back of the field.
Well, we'll wait to see, get the confirmation on what the actual penalty. We don't be sure about that one. We heard a communication that was back of the line. That's not the same.
Right. No.
That's not the same as a drive-through under green.
All he's doing is swapping positions with Briscoe. If it's going to be a penalty, he should hit pit lane when the rest of the guys are in green.
We'll wait till we
That's
get.
What the rule book says, right?
Under the steward's discretion. You always have to put in that caveat.
Back of the line is no penalty.
That's not a penalty.
No.
He's already back there.
Yeah, let's just wait and get confirmation before we jump on that.
Are you saying the communication between us and Japan right now is maybe a little bit slow?
Had a few moments this season where we need to be sure things get clarified.
We'll look at the Ganassi team here.
Well, Dario took 3 of them out in one corner.
That's right. Well, that caution we had
Chip, what's
for
the penalty?
Well, yeah, we had to go to the back of the line there for avoidable contact. I'd say it looked like a pretty ambitious move down there in turn 1.
So that's how you saw it as well. You don't really take issue with this call?
No, I'm just a little disappointed. Took out 3 of my cars. Took out 3 of our 4 cars there. Put 3 of his back. The other 2 guys were having great days. It's just terrible that one of our own, one of their teammates took their 2 guys out. It's terrible.
Thank you. Chip Ganassi.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Let's try this again.
They're 2 by 2 in the first 2 rows, and that's it. Here's the green flag as we go racing once again at Twin Ring Motegi.
Tony Kanaan, you saw him dive into the pits before the restart. He had to do that for fuel.
Pretty nice move by Marco. He had a pretty good restart there.
James
Picked up a couple spots.
running in 3rd position.
Well,
Serbia, actually, isn't it? The scoring says.
Yeah, the scoring says Jakes, but that is not.
Yeah, that's
certainly not how they run.
This is J.R. Hildebrand in 11th.
Now scoring is getting corrected, and of course that was Serbia up there in 3rd.
Right. Jake's 4th.
Whoa, somebody's.
That's Mike Conway up ahead.
Pisa, I think, was the one that was blew wide a little bit there. 2 cars ahead of Hildebrand.
All right. Well, once this settles down, Wally, I know what you're dying to say. It's the same thing that I'm thinking. How is going to the back of the line?
That's not a penalty.
That's no penalty.
I mean, he's already back there. I think maybe he switched spots with Power. I don't see how that is a penalty.
Yeah, but wow, that is not consistent with what the penalties have been for the exact same incident on other racetracks, and I think they're going to take some heat on that one.
They should.
Absolutely, because that's the driver's biggest complaint with Brian Barnhart, fellas. Inconsistency.
At least if he hit pit lane, then, you know, that's some kind of a penalty because you're losing ground on the rest of the field. But just to go to the back when you're already back there, I don't understand that. What's the point?
Exactly. Well, if you got to come through the pit, even if you have to drive through the pits, you're going to lose 35 seconds.
Right. That's a penalty.
Exactly.
All right. So Serbia clearly in 3rd. Yes, we can confirm Jakes is there, and Marco right behind.
Andretti, who was running back in 10th and 11th, is up to 5th. As we see Takuma Sato, who is in 12th position, just ahead of Danica Patrick. On board with him.
Sato's made up quite a bit of ground since his little excursion as well.
Yep.
Look behind. Oh, that was good timing. Here comes Castro Neves. That's how you get it done in 11. The very last time all those Delaras will be run on a road course, and boy, what a great move by Castro Neves here. That's the way you do it. You size it up, get yourself in perfect position, slide right up to where the driver can't turn in even if she wanted to. That's picture perfect. I was saying when I saw this whole train of Delaras, I was thinking it's the last time they're ever going to run on a road course, and the reason they're running in this kind of train, they've had all these years to perfect these setups, same tires, same engines, and everyone is just, they're just right at the same speed, and you've got to take a big risk to make a move.
You're right. It's very, very competitive. I think you looked at qualifying, what was the second cover of the field, and yeah, you've got to you have to outbrake somebody to pass somebody on a track like this. You've got to go in a little bit deeper to outbrake somebody and still try to keep your car under control. But they are even.
And I'm still assessing this whole Dario Franchitti thing into turn 1. When you're running for a championship, that could be a deal breaker right there.
Sure can, yeah.
If it doesn't come through, we're going to replay the tape and say, remember turn 1 and Motegi Road Course. That is a huge number of points. Now, part of it is it's amazing how things change when you don't qualify well. You start driving and taking more risks than if you did when you qualified up front.
Yeah.
Dario started this race from 9th position, and he is currently in 22nd. Nearing the halfway point here at Motegi, Scott Dixon with a 1.2-second advantage on Will Power. IZOD IndyCar Series will go to a new chassis and a new engine for next year, and you see some of the comparisons between the engine that they've been using for the last few years and the one they will use in 2012, including an increase in RPMs, and also other changes will be taking effect next year when they go to the new engine. And another thing that isn't on there is the fact that the overtake assist will mean a lot more next year than it has in recent years.
That is yet to be determined, but when you look at that weight, anytime you save 100 pounds or more, that's going to be one of your best performance advantages. You also see carbon brakes as well.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
Yeah, much more modern. Now that's a double-edged sword, because when you have a lighter car with carbon brakes, they brake for a shorter distance. That sometimes can even make it more difficult to overtake, but they'll definitely be more racy.
All right, Dario Franchitti has moved up a couple of positions in the last lap. He got around Charlie Kimball, and there you see him get around James Hinchcliffe. So Dario moves up to 19th position. Briscoe's back in 22nd. Rahal 23rd. Two of the other drivers involved in that incident.
You know, Jan was saying, this is so uncharacteristic to see Franchitti make a mistake like that. He just doesn't do that. You know, that's not how he drives.
We mentioned the points as they are right now. Power has a 23-point lead on Dario Franchitti, but you'll remember that in 2009, Dario trailed Ryan Briscoe by 25 points with 2 races to go, and Dario won the championship. Down to Kevin.
Brazilian JP de Oliveira into an IndyCar here today. And exit for you. A fuel pressure pump issue is what took you out. But before that contact with Takuma Sato, tell us what happened.
Yeah, it was a shame about the fuel pump, the fuel pressure. I just lost fuel pressure, and they told me, yeah, the fuel pump, you know, was broken. But yeah, before that, I had a clear run in Taku, and you know, I didn't think I was too optimistic. I was on the inside already, and he just decided to turn in. So fortunate, you know, these things happen in racing. I think it was possible to avoid, but you know, it's a shame because my race I really wanted to get to the end. But you know, I think with this problem, we probably wouldn't have got it anyway. So, but anyway, I think it was a good first race, and you know, look forward for next time.
Okay, hope to see him again. He is, by the way, won here the 2 years in Formula Nippon. He is in for Sebastian Saavedra, who's been in this 34 Conquest car. Dylan Battistini is going to take his rookie test. He won 3 races a couple of years ago in lights, and he might be in this car when we get to Kentucky.
Interesting. And I know we're going to get letters saying, oh, you pronounced his name wrong because there's an R in there. It should be de Oliveira, but he says de Oliveira, so that's the way we pronounce it.
Bob, don't worry about those letters.
Well,
what are you gonna
because I always
about
get
the letters? The heck with those letters.
We are watching Dario Franchitti come up on Hideki Muto. Good to see Hideki back in the series in that Formula Dream machine that he drove so many years for Andretti and Andretti Autosport and Andretti Green Racing.
He's feeling the pressure, and this is the place where if you're going to make a move, and Dario's done it on other drivers, I don't think he's close enough. Oh, Hideki, you're not supposed to do that. Oh, but he was. Okay. Oh, he was just taking a look at Pontonos. Yeah. That's what he was doing.
Okay, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
We're past the halfway point, and Scott Dixon has secured the 2 points for leading the most laps, and that means that he has won all bonus points available for his race. Easy this time.
See ya.
Just that 1/2 a second longer on the throttle.
Wow, what a group of cars he's got to work on now.
Up ahead now is Pontono and Mira.
They get harder and harder each as he moves up. I think once he gets up to about the 13th, 14th spot where Castroneves is, it's going to be very hard.
Well, he's staying with it. That's what you got to do. You have to fight back in the very same spot where he had contact. He did that exactly the way you're supposed to. Much different line. Yeah, he's going for he's going for a little high line, fast off technique. See if that pays off for him.
Here he comes again. Oh, Pontono wouldn't let him have it.
Frankie really had to jump on the brakes to avoid contact there.
And they both went for the overtake. Franchitti went for it to try to overtake, and Pontono went for it to keep him from overtaking. So it was used offensively and defensively, and Pontono said, no thanks. Now, Pontono has learned, see, he held his line. Remember, he got a big penalty in Sonoma, and, you know, that was his corner. He did the right thing. Dario wasn't in position. Dario was trying. Pontono didn't block and turned in aggressively, and that's his right to do so.
I think we're going to call him Pontono here in a minute because I think old Dario is going to kick him to the sand trap.
Dario Franchitti was just told about 3 laps ago, we need to get one car, pick off one car every other lap. Should be simple, right?
Well, Pontono just got off the track and Dario passed him. Oh, wow. Now Hideki Muto wants to get by Giorgio. So now Dario sets his sights on Vitor Meira.
Well, that's a way to do it through the field. We'll just follow Dario.
Yeah, as he's passing cars.
Man, Pontono has got a major flat spot now to where every time he just touches the brakes, the thing just lights up. I think he gets a sitting duck here.
Take a look here. He's going to give it a shot. Ooh, they both went in pretty deep.
Wow. He gave him a little room.
Hey, Pontono's not leaving anything on the table.
No.
He is. It continues to lock up, and there he goes.
Off he goes.
Off again.
Say, he just every time he goes in the corner, he locks that tire up. Finally caught him out.
Yeah.
This is his 3rd race, replacing the injured Justin Wilson. Had a 17th place finish at Infineon and a 26th at Baltimore, and there he goes.
And that sound, Wally, when you go through that gravel, is just, it's not a good sound.
And again, that gravel gets in places you don't want.
Yeah.
Don't look at me like that, Bob.
Where does it come from?
See, I'm thinking brake calipers, and I know, Bob, you were thinking something totally different.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, you were.
He gave me that look. I'm like, you use your imagination.
Scott Dixon leads Will Power, Oriol Servia, James Jakes, and Marco Andretti.
Okay, you know you're going to need new tires. It's inevitable, right? So why not get them from TireRack.com? With Tire Rack's online research tools, you'll know you're getting exactly the right tires for you, your car, and the way you drive it, all at a great price. Don't just change your tires, change the way you buy tires. The biggest selection of tires. One more way Tire Rack is revolutionizing the way you buy tires. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Don't worry, Lucky. These Wheat Thins Crunch Sticks will save us. Look!
Thins Crunch Sticks. Try our new flavors.
You may come as schlubs, but you will leave with swagger. Exhibit A, khakis to work? What a schlub. Exhibit B, men, this is style in motion, and that's a playmaker. Style is a statement, gentlemen, and a statement we will make.
Meet the Mazda 3 4-door, 5-door, and the one and only Mazda Speed 3. No other car in its class looks like it, feels like it, or most importantly, drives like it. This is a car worth driving, and that's the only kind of car we build. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Now get the Mazda 3 with 0% APR for 60 months.
There are moments that change everything.
Romo buying time. Throws is intercepted. Picked off by Revis.
Through the incomparable lens of NFL films, we take you inside the game's most critical moments. The plays that make and break the best in the game. NFL Turning Point, hosted by Dan Patrick. Thursday night at 10, only on Versus.
39 laps have been completed out of 63 here at Twin Ring Motegi. As we watch Oriol Serbia running in 3rd position. Right behind him is James Jakes and then Marco Andretti. Now, Dario Franchitti has worked his way up to 17th position, but here's what happened on a restart.
We're barreling down on the inside, made contact with Briscoe, who collected Kimball.
And Graham Rahal.
I'm sorry, Rahal, yeah. And these guys paid for it.
It's Kimball to the right of the screen, and that move that certainly seems incredibly optimistic for a guy who's trying to win a championship. And Wally, the amazing thing to me is that when we talked to Chip Ganassi afterwards, it was very, very interesting to me when he was talking to Kevin. Normally, a team owner will stick by his driver no matter what happens. He said, you know, I'm not happy about that. That took out 3 of my cars. That was Kimball, Rahal, and, of course, Franchitti. And even he said, I thought that was an awfully optimistic move, and you don't normally hear that when it's your own driver and you're talking to the owner on the timing stand.
Absolutely, and you make a mistake this close to running at Vegas for the championship. I mean, if I'm Power right now, I'm riding. I mean, if somebody told me Franchitti's back there and he's in traffic, sitting in 17th spot, I'm just going to be real happy following Dixon for the rest of this race.
Oh yeah, yep. Because you don't want any more gravel in the...
No more gravel. Very uncomfortable.
Let's not go there again. The World Championship at Las Vegas. Boy, it can't get any better than this. To purchase your tickets, you call 800-644-4444 or log on to lvms.com. If you have attended one IZOD IndyCar Series event this year, you pick up a free ticket at Mandalay Bay. If you book your hotel at MGM Resorts, you get 2 free tickets. That is where the IndyCar Championship will be decided this year. And that's just 2 races from now. We have the next race, meeting us at Versus, will be at Kentucky in the 1.5 miles there in 2 weeks. Scott Dixon has 9 road course wins in his career. 4 of those 9 wins have come when he has led the most laps, and he has led all but 1 lap today.
Yeah, these 2 front cars right now are the class of the field. They are clicking off some lap times right now.
And Franchitti has moved up another, getting by Vitor Meira, so Dario is up to 16th position. And with each position he gains, the points come off. It's now a 21-point advantage for Will Power, who is running in 2nd position. Our congratulations to Sarah Fisher and Andy O'Gara as they celebrate the birth of 6-pound, 7-ounce Zoe Marie. And Sarah Fisher becomes the only Indianapolis 500 starter to give birth to a baby. Another way in the record books for Sarah Fisher. Congratulations, you guys.
Although we do have a couple owners that look like they're ready to give birth. But that's not really probably a nice thing to say, but it's early in the morning, and hell, we don't care.
And we're a little punchy.
Yeah, we don't care. I would tell Sarah, don't get your daughter don't get her a go-kart or a quarter midget. Get her a tennis racket and a golf club.
Now, changing gears here, this is when the pit window opens. So if you're someone like these two leaders, you don't necessarily want to stretch it. You want to, if you're Power, I say you play it safe and you pit. You want to be the first person to make the last stop. You don't want to get caught by a yellow.
They've got 14 seconds on third spot.
Yep.
So you're right.
Just come in, make sure you don't get caught by a yellow. And just get it done. You'll be good to go till the end of the race. Now, they don't have to stop now. They could go all the way to lap 47 if you really wanted to, but that's awfully risky.
I think if I was Power, I'd try to get in before Dixon, get those reds on. Maybe get a little bit of an advantage.
True. Typically, though, if you stay out longer, it benefits you, but you run the risk of catching a caution. And, of course, that's not in your control. And, you know, Will Power has been bit quite a few times this year on things out of his control, like untimely yellows. I guess you could say, well, it's in your control because you didn't take a pit stop. But
well, just like at Toronto, this was the scenario. These guys are running 1-2, kicking everybody's butt.
And here's some people that are going to take advantage of it, Kevin.
A couple of leaders, including Oriol Servia. Shouldn't be that surprised that he's worked his way up from 16th to 3rd. He said, I just made a mistake in qualifying yesterday, but the car has been good all weekend. Servia is going to get out ahead of James Jakes. Jakes is pitted in front of him. He's had a great day today, running in the 4th position. He felt confident he would be good coming in because this is a track where he's on level playing field. To slower stuff, though, for James Jakes. He lost a little bit of time coming out.
Yeah, James Jakes lost all kinds of time. James Jakes is actually behind Franchitti now, and he came in 4th. Wow. Huge loss of time for Jakes.
It's too bad. He was running 4th and looking really good.
Man.
Behind Dario, in front of Simona De Silvestro.
And James Jakes stopped it. That's what happened. So he has a great opportunity to good result. He's still got a chance at a good result, but his chance at a great result has probably gone away.
Yeah, it's a shame. You know, that can happen. Sometimes it's not that.
We all did the same thing.
That was the best.
He totally missed the corner, Wally.
That was the best.
Good thing the pit lane was there.
We're up now.
Here's Will Power making what should be his final stop of the day.
And this is a wise choice. Don't get caught by a yellow. Come in and play it safe. Oh, and he came close to stalling it. He had to go for the clutch there. Wow.
Here's Scott still on track. We'll see if he makes his stop this time by.
And he's doing the right thing for a guy who doesn't have a whole lot to lose. Stay out there, get a nice gap. He could probably stop now and still be good. But who knows? He's, like I said, he could go to 47 if he really wanted to.
You're right, though, Jan. He's almost 18 seconds ahead of Marco in second. So.
Yep. Less than 20 laps to go.
I think White Castle's open, Bob. we can go there afterwards.
Okay. You're buying, I assume.
Yes. White Castle is a nasty hamburger that people that are drunk eat at 3 in the morning.
I'm not drunk.
No, I know. We're punch drunk.
Oh, okay.
It's an expression.
Here he is. Dixon on pit lane. Kevin.
Here comes Scott Dixon, 60 miles per hour. Huge pit stop for him. We'll be trying to keep an eye on where Will Power comes out as he merges back into traffic. And the right-of-way goes to the car that's on track, by the way. That's a tight exit going into turn number 1. Red tires for Dixon on his final step. He's away. Let's see where he comes out.
There comes Power. Now
they're going to be separated by just about the same amount, aren't they?
They'll be close. They'll be closer towards the exit, but very nicely done by Target Chip Ganassi Racing and Scott Dixon. That's what they want. Now he just needs to bring it home.
So will Dixon be able to hang on and keep Will behind him? We'll come back with more from twin Ring Motegi.
Van beckons like no van before. The technology-packed, all-new Honda Odyssey. 100 years of racing. To appreciate what that means, you need to start back in 1911, the inaugural Indianapolis 500-mile race. Ray Haroon won that year, and as he crossed the finish line that day on his Firestone tires, he surely had no idea what he was starting. A legacy of guts, grit, and determination on big tracks and small, famous tracks, and those not so famous. We raced, and we raced to win. Anywhere, any place, anytime. And over the years, as the cars got faster and the crowds grew bigger, a century passed. A century of building on the things we learned, of helping great men and women do great things. And still, it goes on. Because you see, just like old Ray would tell you, or Mario, or Al, Sam, or Elio, once you get that checkered flag fever, you can't shake it. You can only feed it. So what does it all mean? Looking back, it's pretty clear. Even after a century, there really is no finish line. Firestone, celebrating 100 years of racing.
College football continues on Versus next Saturday at 7:30 when the 11th-ranked Cornhuskers head west to take on the Cowboys. It's Nebraska against Wyoming. College football on Versus. Every game means everything. On board with Will Power here as he runs in second position. Up ahead is Scott Dixon. Last time they came by, it was just about a 2-second interval. Ray Hall is running third. Tony Kanaan is fourth, and Marco Andretti is fifth. However, Kanaan is going to have a pit stop before too long.
As is Graham Rahal.
Tony Kanaan started way back in 25th position. Here comes Graham Rahal in.
Rahal probably feels like a punching bag this year.
Let me tell you something. He's qualified so well and he's had 2 podiums, but he really has not got the results he deserves through no fault of his own.
Tony Kanaan also makes his final pit stop, puts on the alternate reds. Kanaan is the only driver to compete in all 14 IndyCar races here at Motegi.
And that should complete the pit stops, at least for top 20. And sort everybody out.
Scott Dixon won the race from the pole here in 2009. He continued his streak of having winning a race in 7 straight seasons when he won at Mid-Ohio earlier this year.
And this is very similar to Mid-Ohio. This is a pure dominant performance, just like he did. I mean, he has not finished that yet, of course. It's not over till it's over, but at this point, he has been certainly the class of the field every time out.
Keeping track of Dario Franchitti is currently 13th, so the interval is 18 points. Will over Franchitti, with Dixon just 59 back. Understand that Tony Kanaan is going to get a drive-through penalty for speeding on pit lane.
Which is a drive-through.
Which
right?
is, yep.
So he's speeding in a drive-through. That's a worse penalty than some other people have gotten for taking other guys out today.
That would be correct.
Just want to be clear.
Yep. And speeding in pit lane makes me almost as mad as drivers saying they're saving fuel, because when your dad drove and when, I mean, Lloyd Ruby used to go into the pits at 160 miles an hour and not hit anybody. This is a race. Okay. Be nice.
Coming to the start-finish line this time, they will complete the 48th lap. So 15 will remain in this race. And these guys are running about 17 seconds ahead of the third-place car, which at the moment is Marco Andretti. There's the completion of lap number 48. We're on lap number 49 of 63. Stay with us for more live coverage here at Twin Ring Motegi. Scott Dixon, the leader. Fan support here at this race, the final one at Twin Ring Motegi, has been unbelievable. Of course, the earthquake that hit in this country was on March the 11th, a 9.0 earthquake. More than 20,000 people were killed or are still missing. More than 800,000 homes were destroyed or damaged. The Japanese Red Cross estimates 400,000 were displaced. This race this weekend is the first international event since the earthquake, and the people of Japan have been very supportive of this race. And I think it's also important to point out that this shows that it is safe to return to Japan and to visit there. That's one thing that Randy Bernard wants to make us aware of, everybody aware of, and I'm sure the Japanese people also.
Just looking at the board here, guys. I mean, there's some guys that having some good runs here. You got tags up there, Bourdais, Conway. He started way in the back. Hunter Ray is up there.
Here's Ryan Briscoe. He's 19th. Up ahead is Vitor Meira. James Jakes, we mentioned him with the bad pit stop, was running 4th. He now is 16th. Danica Patrick 14th, and Dario Franchitti is 13th and hasn't moved from that spot in the last few laps. Again, we are not in control of the pictures that you are seeing. That's from the host Japanese broadcaster.
Here we go. Here's
a pile of them.
Here's the group that you were talking about, and those are some new names followed by some championship contenders. Of course, Dario Franchitti bringing up the rear here, and he'll have a tough time trying to get by somebody like Castro Neves. But what a train this is.
Castro Neves right ahead of Franchitti, and then Hildebrand. Sato is in this group, so is Hunter Ray, Viso.
And this group of cars has pretty much been running like, with except of Franchitti, they've been running like this the whole race.
Yeah.
About 9, 10, 11 cars have been nose to tail.
And when you look at Marco Andretti, if we get a shot of him, he's leading that train. And And for Marco, if you consider where he is based on his teammates, there's Ryan Hunter-Reay, one of his teammates. He's the next closest. And remember, that was one of the great questions that Lindy Thaxton had asked. We had talked about when they were in Baltimore, he couldn't just run the same kind of times as his teammates. Now you come to a road course and it completely flip-flops. So Marco Andretti now is leading his group of teammates and solidly doing so, and it's only a couple weeks difference.
Yep. Running in third spot.
This is Hildebrand looking back on Castro Neves.
Serbia, Tagliani.
Serbia is there in fourth position. Tagliani's had a good race, so has Sebastian Bourdais. Bourdais started 14th, currently running 6th.
Now, one of the drivers you mentioned there, Bob, you know, this is a holiday weekend in Japan, and it's called Respect for the Aged Day. So I know.
Why are you looking at me while you say that, Jan?
Well, speaking of aged, what's the most aged driver in this group here? What's the most, you know? You saw him a moment ago. It might surprise you. The oldest driver in the series. Franchitti is close, but it's not Franchitti. It's Alex Tagliani.
I was going to say that.
Alex Tagliani, 38 years old. Dario Franchitti.
Wow. That was close.
Dario Franchitti, also 38, but he's beat by a few months by Mr. Tagliani. He does not look 38.
No, you're right.
I would not have guessed he was the oldest guy here. But we'll show respect for him and for you, Bob.
I knew we'd get back there.
I think that's a good holiday to have. I like that, respect for the aged.
We should have one of those in the U.S.
Yeah,
we'll start that next year.
Yeah.
How's that? Less than 10 laps to go at Twin Ring Motegi. Stay with us for the exciting conclusion of this race, led by Scott Dixon.
TireRack.com is more than just an online tire resource. We're your one-stop online tire know-how, know-who, and know-what. With TireRack's online research tools, you'll know you're getting exactly the right tires for you, your car, and the way you drive it. Speaking of that, know what else? Our prices are practically unbeatable. And that's all you need to know. Buy your next tires at Tire Rack and experience how we're revolutionizing the way you buy tires. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Now, when you want powerful Wi-Fi, you've got it. With a Verizon mobile hotspot, you can connect up to 5 Wi-Fi devices to the internet with lightning-fast Verizon 4G LTE speed. A gaming device, e-reader, MP3 player. Connect any 5 for Wi-Fi on the go. Get the 4G LTE mobile hotspot now for only $49.99. Verizon is the place with the largest selection of 4G LTE devices on America's fastest, most advanced 4G network.
We're trying to take it to the next level at every step, and Mothers is a partner we trust.
Mothers really helps make our cars stand out. It's genuine, it's authentic, and it's best in class.
We actually use Mothers wheel care products during our production process.
It's so easy to use. Just spray it on and wash off. It's just that simple.
Trusted and used by industry pros at Pirelli Tire North America, SMS Supercars, and HRE Performance Wheels. Mother's full line of wheel cleaners make cleaning any wheel a snap.
Meet the Mazda 6. It's roomy, it's refined, and meticulously engineered in a wind tunnel. Because a car with class-leading aerodynamics is a car worth driving. And that's the only kind of car we build. We build Mazdas. What do you drive? Now get the Mazda 6 with 0% APR for 60 months.
Welcome back to our live coverage here on Versus of the Indy Japan 300 final race at Twin Ring Motegi. Watching this long string of cars here that includes Andretti, Serbia, Tagliani, Bourdais, Conway, Viso, Hunter-Reay, Sato, Hildebrand, and Castro Neves. That is 3rd through 12th. Wow. Sebastian Bourdais may have another top 10 finish going here. Prior to Baltimore, when he had electrical problems, he had recorded 3 top 10 finishes, including a 6th at Toronto and Edmonton. And that's where he is running here right now. More from Kevin Lee.
And this will be the last time we see Sebastian Bourdais this season. He goes back to his other job, driving in the Intercontinental Le Mans Cup. He drives for Peugeot. He just won with Simon Pagenaud a couple of weeks ago. They are leading that championship with 2 rounds remaining. It's been a strong season for Bourdais. He's hoping to come back here full-time next season, but only if the situation is right.
This is Sebastian's first start here at this racetrack.
And look, it's Ryan Hunter-Reay keeps dropping wheels off on the final corner. Sato here is basically is getting fogged. I mean, the car just keeps getting dustier and dustier because as Hunter-Reay goes off, he goes off himself. Whoa.
You know, Kevin was talking about Bourdais and Pagenaud. They both want to run IndyCar full-time next year, but Peugeot's putting the heat on them to sign a deal to run for them next year, so they can't wait too long. And then, you know, Ryan Briscoe's another guy. He's kind of in the hot seat, it looks like, because if Penske doesn't come up with a sponsor, he might be out. And, you know, he's one of the fastest guys in the series, but he could be outside looking in.
Yep. Article in the Indianapolis paper a couple of days ago saying that his return to Team Penske at this moment is, quote, questionable.
Yeah, Wayne Taylor's one of his agents and was telling us at Sonoma, you know, we got to have a sponsor or we maybe have to find him a ride.
Two of the KB Racing Technology cars in this group. EJ Viso is 8th and Sato is 10th.
Tony Kanaan, of course, is 25th. Having a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pits will definitely not help your track position. Oh, whoa, look out. That's Bourdais rubbing on Conway.
Wow.
And here comes Viso up the inside.
Viso's going to pass both of them, or is he?
Maybe.
Look at Conway drive down in there.
Yeah. That's what we've been waiting for. Way to go, EJ. He just got 2 spots.
Ryan Hunter-Reay looks to the inside of Conway.
Oh. He had to bail, and Conway goes off the outside.
He loses a couple of spots. Now Hildebrand looks to go around, and he will.
And
so
Conway,
yeah, Conway losing a lot of positions here.
Well, I'm sure Conway had all that dirt on his tires. It's going to take him a few corners to get that cleaned off.
Looking from Sato.
Tell you what, Conway ran out of room.
Yeah.
Because Hunter-Reay was right there, and Conway just had to turn right because he was just out of real estate.
And here's the 3 wide into turn 1. And nicely done in close quarters. EJ Viso getting 2 spots out of that. And of course that's what lost the momentum for Conway that made him a sitting duck, unfortunately, for his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay.
We'll get another break before the checkered flag here with 7 laps to go. It's Dixon by 5.5 seconds over Will Power.
What happens when you use Peak Motor Oil? You get premium performance and can save up to 10 gallons of gas every time you change your oil. So any car runs like a 10, even if it's more like a 6. You're not just changing oil, you're saving gas. Put Peak Motor Oil in, save on gas.
IZOD at Facebook.com.
all different. That's why there are 5 new Civics. The next generation Civic, only from Honda.
From opening night face-off, through the Winter Classic, All-Star Weekend, and the raising of the cup, for the next 10 years, hockey is here. Through the incomparable lens of NFL films, we take you inside the game's most critical moments. NFL Turning Point, Thursday night at 10 on Versus.
Some good racing going on here in the middle of the pack. It isn't much of a race up front because Dixon continues to stretch out his lead on Will Power, and Ryan Hunter-Reay is in the sand.
Keep it running.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to. If not, we may have a full course caution here with just a few laps to go.
Robin's applauding.
And the crowd loves it.
The crowd of one.
Yeah. Ryan Hunter-Reay was running up in that group
yeah, just went yellow.
Yep. How about that?
Well, there goes the 25-second or 21-second deficit between Power and Marco Andretti.
Yep.
That'll close that up. That'll be interesting.
There is Ryan Hunter-Reay's stalled car in the sand trap. It's our third caution we have had today. Takuma Sato currently running in 7th position. Here's how Ryan Hunter-Reay got off course.
Oh, my.
Bourdais.
Uh-oh.
Guess he'll be losing a lot of positions over that.
Yes, he will.
Bourdais, I'm talking about.
Yep.
Quite a hit there from Sebastian Bourdais. From our overhead helicopter. Whoa!
Well, he was farther alongside than Dario.
That's a different, you know, with that angle, Bourdais was,
he gave him an
like
option,
you said, he was up there pretty far.
Of course, the gravel trap, the idea of a gravel trap is to stop a car that would lose brakes or something, and it's supposed to stop a car and get stuck, so it did its job. And that was pretty much exactly as the teams told us. If you went through the gravel and kept it straight and drove off nose first, you might get out the other side, which we saw many an example today. But if you backed in, you'd get stuck, and
that's what happened.
There's the evidence right there.
Momentum is your friend in the sand.
Gravel traps, as a rule, though, are great compared to the old days of like catch fencing and stuff. Oh, that was nasty.
Or even if you went off in the grass, you'd pick up speed.
Yeah.
Or felt like it anyway.
Question is, how many laps are we going to run under caution here, and how many laps will we have under green to see if we can get some position changes here before the end of the race?
Cautions breed cautions, too.
That's true. But they will run 63 laps. That's the good news.
And it is a nearly 3-mile road course. One would think it shouldn't take too long. However, the previous yellow was very, very long. So let's hope that that's not the case this time.
Brought out the sweepers to get off the marbles from the racing surface to provide a clean racetrack for the drivers on the restart. But there are only 4 laps to go.
Trucks going the other way.
Yeah.
I think maybe they should restart the race with the sweepers on the track just to shake things out. Look, we did it at Baltimore. We had trucks on the track. Let's try the sweepers. I guarantee you people, they'd watch the replay.
Views expressed on these shows are not necessarily those of the network or network advertisers.
Great to see so many of the Japanese race fans that have come to the race here. The final one. It's about 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon in Japan and just a little before 2 a.m. Eastern time in the United States. A warm day, obviously, with the fans fanning.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the last restart, did not Scott Dixon looked like chose drivers left when they came up to take the green? I'm trying to think back now. I believe he may have chosen the clean side of the racetrack, which is typically not what you want, but that worked well for him last time around. That's the idea of the sweepers out there on the dirty side where all the rubber is, and he's chosen last time to go drivers left and just blew by everybody.
And they barely had 2 rows lined up, I think, when they got to the start-finish line.
And there's Scott Dixon. That's what he's doing, is cleaning. And you can see, look how much rubber he leaves behind when you do that. And that is the enemy of any kind of restart, is having that pickup on the tires. And we had a great example of that onboard shot earlier from Briscoe of how you can pick up rubber on their tires. Okay, so yep, sure enough, he had chosen the outside. He's on the clean part of the racetrack and sweeps around to the outside cleanly in front of Power.
That's a good move if you can get a good start. You know, if you can jump.
Here we go.
If you can jump them and clear them.
We will have 3 laps of racing, hopefully.
Power needs to stay right up beside him.
Yes, he does. He's got to get up right there. Look, he's going to take off.
He's just going to lay back.
What's he doing?
Marco's not going to lay back.
Oh, man, you got to be kidding me.
Oh, somebody's going to pile into somebody at the back.
No start.
What was that all about? Scott Dixon was doing what he was supposed to, but Will was hanging back.
Yep. Now there's only going to be 2 laps to go.
It was like Will didn't expect him to go green.
Don't count Marco completely out of this deal.
Oh no!
I'll tell you what, he's been making some great restarts, and I think he's standing up in that seat right now.
Okay, now see, Dixon does exactly what he's supposed to. He goes to the outside. He doesn't gas it. He's just cruising. He's waiting. He's waiting. He's waiting, and Will Power just doesn't come into position. Look, Dixon's waiting. Look at Tagliani. I'll just go around everybody.
You're not going to go? I will.
I'm not sure what Power was doing there. He must not have known it was going to go green. And now we're being told there will be no penalty on Sebastian Bourdais for that contact on Ryan Hunter-Reay. And what do you think Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to say? He's going to say, isn't that exactly the same thing that I did to Briscoe in Barber and got a penalty?
Yep.
Man, there's going to be some discussions on the way back on the airplane on this one.
Yeah.
Well, well, well. It's never over till it's over.
Sure, I think, like I said, I think Andretti and Tags are going to be chomping at the bit here. Power can't leave that door open.
There's still 25 of the 26 cars still running as we get set for this restart with 2 laps to go.
And, you know, in a way, I think they should have thrown the green because the pole sitter was doing what he was supposed to. If the guy in second place isn't paying attention, you know what I mean?
Yep, no,
now let's watch
now. Here we go.
Yeah, he'll move up.
Watch Marco. He's going to make it 3 wide.
Watch Viso.
Man. Here we go. Let's see what happens in turn 1. Contact back here
between the teammates.
No, Tony, you got to be kidding me.
Teammates.
Oh, but Sato's still going.
Keep going.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep the engine running.
And Ryan Briscoe is off course.
And here comes Marco. Somehow Servia had got past Marco, and now Marco came back.
Is Viso stalled on the racetrack? Vitor Mir is also in the sand.
Uh-oh.
But this could be local yellows only.
I don't know, Bob. Well,
with 1 lap to go?
Yeah. Let's hope that's the case, because they won't have time to clean it up.
Marco Andretti running in 3rd spot.
And it looked like Servia had that for a couple of corners, and then Servia now has dropped back. Tagliani moves up a spot.
And that helped Franchitti, because he picked up probably 3 or 4 spots in this last lap with guys going off the racetrack.
He sure
3
did.
spots.
Good point. He's up to 9th.
Local only in turns 1 and 3, so we will not have a full course caution. They'll race to the checkered flag, but I don't think Scott Dixon is going to be challenged.
Man, he's running away.
Power trying his best to catch up. But the white flag comes out. 1 more lap on the 2.9-mile road course here at Twin Ring Motegi.
Danica Patrick just got off the outside of the final corner. Bourdais charging after Servia. Servia in blue right behind. It's Bourdais pushing hard. Can't pass here. Oh, somebody saw. Oh, was that
Castro Neves?
Castro Neves. Man,
trying to get around Hildebrand.
He's going to get. Well, if he
completed it.
If he completed it, he'll definitely be in trouble.
It looks like he did.
Yeah.
An easy drive all day long for Scott Dixon, all weekend long for that matter, winning the pole position, leading the most laps, and a few corners away from taking the victory. Difference in points now 13 as Franchitti moves up to 9th. Will Power 2nd.
They're going to finish where they started. How about that after all that?
Good point. Here comes Scott Dixon through the final few corners. And the final race at Twin Ring Motegi is going to go to Scott Dixon, his 27th career win, 2nd of the season. He also won at Mid-Ohio. It's his 10th career win on a road course. Power finishes 3.5 seconds behind in 2nd, then Marco Andretti, Alex Tagliani, Servia, Bourdais, Castro Neves, Hildebrand, Franchitti, and Conway are the top 10, and Takuma Sato came close to a top 10 finish but settled for 11th as Danica Patrick comes in 12th position. Here's Kevin.
Mike Hull calls strategy for Scott Dixon. He's talking to his driver, pointing him towards victory lane. That was an impressive drive today.
Well, first of all, we really don't know where victory lane is here since we've gone from an oval to a road track. We were talking about that, trying to figure that out.
I think it's about right here. I think it's in front of your pit. At least that's what I believe. What was the key today for your guy, especially in those final restarts?
Well, I think the just being solid, just being aware of what's going on, being smart about how to drive the restarts, and just not getting caught up in everybody else's problems today. And obviously that's being the master of the obvious. That's what you try to do when you race, but we did a good job. But you know, racing in Japan means a lot to us in Honda. We'd love to come back here. It's a big deal, and we understand how much these people love motor racing, and it's good to be here.
And a good day for Target Gymnasi, at least the number 9 team today. They get to celebrate, headed to our makeshift victory lane.
Scott Dixon wins the battle here at Twin Ring Motegi, but Will Power comes away with the Mario Andretti Road Course Championship by 32 over Dario.
The Indy Japan 300 on Versus is brought to you by Honda, the engine supplier for the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Welcome back to Motegi, Japan, and my call may have been right. Scott Dixon is still on the racetrack driving around. He may not know where victory lane is, but he has won here this afternoon at this facility. Scott Dixon, his second win of the year.
What's the penalty for missing victory lane? Victory lane.
You don't get to kiss the queen.
The penalty is you got to pose with Chip.
Will Power finishing 3.5 seconds behind Dixon. Marco Andretti with a very good run here this afternoon, winning in third position, finishing in third position. Alex Tagliani fourth, Oriol Servia fifth, then Bourdais. Castro Neves recovered from his off course. J.R. Hildebrand was 8th, Dario Franchitti 9th, and Mike Conway in 10th position. Here's 11 through 20 with Takuma Sato, the home country favorite, finishing in 11th position. Tony Kanaan winds up in 18th spot after starting 25th, and there were only 2 cars out of the race when it ended, with Vitor Meira dropping out with just 2 laps to go, and Ryan Hunter-Reay a lap down. Everybody else was on the lead lap. We had 3 caution periods for a total of 8 laps, 2 leaders, 2 lead changes. Dixon led all but 1 lap. Will Power led 1 lap, but that was when they had their first series of pit stops. On the second pit sequence, Scott Dixon was able to maintain his lead. So the points battle has changed positions, as Power now will go to Kentucky with a 13-point lead on Franchitti. Dixon, Servia, Kanaan, and Briscoe stay the same. Marco Andretti moves up a spot as a result of his 3rd place finish. Ryan Hunter-Reay down a position, and Elio and Graham stayed in their positions in 9th and 10th. Kevin?
Chip Ganassi, your team salvages something here today. I know you weren't happy with what happened early, but your guy Scott Dixon at least kept Will Power from picking up some more points in the championship.
I mean, it's huge. Dixon had a great day, did everything he possibly could for the team target. And it's, you know, it's obviously going to be some tough conversations. I mean, Dario, we said, you know, before the race, drive like a champion. And, you know, that moved down in turn 1. Obviously, I wasn't driving the car, but, you know, he took out 2 of our other cars. Very, very disappointing. And, you know, I'm sure he didn't do it purposely, but I got to have some tough conversations with a lot of people that, you know, we had a good day going there up until that point. And it's very, very, very disappointing. So it's good news and bad news all on the same day.
For a guy that's been so good for you and has been so consistent over the years, what do you say? How do you address that with a champion like Franchitti?
Well, he's obviously still a champion, and he's still a great driver. I mean, he just wasn't his day, I guess.
Okay, Chip Ganassi, though, waiting, and the car is here. So we'll talk to Scott Dixon here coming up in just a moment in Victory Lane. We're also going to try to hear from Will Power and Dario Franchitti. Scott Dixon on top of the number 9 target car here at Twin Ring Motegi. He becomes the first to win on the oval and the road course in any motorsport here. Congratulations, you started out front and you stayed there. How did you get it done?
The car, you know, I got to give a lot of credit to Team Target. They gave me a fantastic car, you know, and some sections of the race, it was, you know, sort of just cruising, trying to save fuel. The Firestone tires lasted brilliantly for my car, maybe not for some of the others, but it was fantastic. But huge credit to the team, you know, great pit stops, great fuel strategy, everything was flawless, and that's what we needed to get.
You started the race drivers right, and then you went drivers left on the restarts. Why, and how challenging were the restarts with Power?
Yeah, he was definitely more difficult towards the end. Will picked it up, and actually on the aborted restart, he tried to hang back and get a bit of a run. So luckily enough, they weighed that off because he might have had enough momentum to get by. But It was so dirty on the inside. Just the debris from coming off turn 14 and always, all the way down the front straight with the soft red tires. There was a lot of stuff there. The last one was the most nerve-wracking one. They seemed to sweep that off a bit. But I've got to say hi to my family at home, Emma, Poppy, and Tilly, and everybody, my mum. I'm just happy that we had a fantastic weekend to be so far away. But I'm just so happy for the team.
And he's a dad for the second time. Tilly was born just a few days ago, and they're back watching in Indianapolis along with Poppy and Mama Emma.
Yeah, the newest arrival arrived 1 week ago, so congratulations to Scott and Emma. All right, let's find out who has been named the Firestone Pit Performers. Well, that honor goes to the Will Power team, spending a total of 53.647 seconds on pit lane as the crew got him in and out quicker than any other driver. However, it wasn't quite enough to pull off the victory as he finishes second to Scott Dixon. We mentioned the Mario Andretti Road Course Championship. That has now been decided because the final 2 races will be on ovals, and Will Power emerges as the winner of the Mario Andretti Trophy. Dario 32 behind at the conclusion. Dixon third, Servia and Kanan in the top 5. So Will Power emerges as the champion of that particular division. And now I'm sure he's looking forward to the next 2 races to see if he can maintain this points lead overall. Kevin?
I'll bring him back. Yeah. Well, we started where we finished. How was your day today? Did you have any opportunities to force the issue and try to get by him?
No, I think the only opportunity was one of the restarts. We raced pretty hard down the one. Obviously, that was for the win, so we both pushed pretty hard. But yeah, I mean, Scott was just solid all day. The team and the driver did a perfect job, and we tried to do the same. We just, I sort of kicked myself for that qualifying lap yesterday where I just made a little mistake, but have to thank Verizon and Maya. It's a great day because we gained more points on Dario, and we can't be disappointed with second.
What happened on the aborted restart with a few laps to go?
I don't know. I mean, I was saying that I wasn't close enough to him, but yeah, I might have had a run on him, I guess.
You're 13 up now in the championship, so you want to get to victory lane, but all things considered, pretty close to mission accomplished?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we'd love to win every time, and at no point during the race was I settling for second. I was doing everything I could. I was doing everything I could on the restarts, but that's as good as we can get, man. We get Verizon car second today and win the championship. That's perfect.
And you do take home a trophy today. You win the Mario Andretti Road Championship for the second year in a row. What's that mean? Yeah, I mean, it's a real honor to win the award with Mario's name on it. To me, he was the ultimate driver. Even still, at his age, he still gets out there and wrings the car's neck. So, yeah, very good to accomplish that, but we really want the big one. All right, thanks. Good run for Will Power. He's now your championship leader.
And the A.J. Foy Trophy for best performance on ovals this year, of course, will be decided after the race in Las Vegas. More when we return.
Takuma Sato with a good run until some late contact. He still gets an 11th place finish visiting with his fans here at Twin Ring Motegi, where Scott Dixon has won. Will Power finishes second. He takes over the championship lead. Dario Franchitti finishes where he started in 9th position. The story of your race was the contact with Ryan Briscoe. You got penalized for that. How did you see it take place?
No, rightly so on the penalty. It's a stupid move on my part. On the restart there, I saw what I thought was a gap. I went down the inside and the gap closed quickly, so my mistake, really. If I was to do that again, I would definitely not make that move. I'd done a lot of the hard work getting from 9th to up to 5th or 4th or something, and basically just screwed it up, And what's worse is I've apologized to Ryan already. He put it very succinctly, you had more to lose than I did, and he was absolutely right. But I got to apologize to Charlie and Graham as well. I ruined 2 of my teammates' days, and they've been nothing but helpful. So pissed off for that. And great fight back by the target team, though. Came back from 20-something back up to 9th there. Could have been a lot worse today, but should have been a lot better. And I hold my hand up to that one. And if we win this championship, I'm going to have to stop making mistakes.
Have you talked with Chip yet?
Oh, yeah, I spoke to Chip. And, I just apologize to him too. So, you know, we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but I shouldn't have made that one today. That was a stupid one.
13 down. It's a position you have not been in all season. You go to 2 ovals. You have not won there, but you've always been good on ovals. What's the approach going into these final 2?
Oh, we should have been good on road courses too, but we haven't quite got it together. So, yeah, we've trailed before, we've led before. We'll just go out there and give it our best. That's all we can do. I mean, my teammate Scott Dixon did a fantastic job at Mid-Ohio and here today. Fabulous. So over the winter, I've got to figure out what he's doing on these road courses with this new style of Firestone tire and get my stuff together, because you know, he has been very, very good. So yeah, we're testing Kentucky on Thursday, and we'll shrug this one off and go forward and see if we can, you know, do better next week.
Okay, thank you. Dario Franchitti now chasing Will Power in the championship.
Well, you got to give it to him.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he took it like a man on that one, and I mean, he did a great job getting back up to 9th. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that had problems in front of him as well, but
Tagliani ties his best finish of the year, 4th at Texas Bourdais, his 4th sixth-place finish in the last 6 races, and Hildebrand equals his best road course finish, and 8th at Toronto. Takuma Sato finishing in 11th position. Okay, the points battle changes. 2 races to go, both on 1.5-mile ovals. Who, in your opinion, has the advantage in these last 2 races of winning the championship? Jan, you go first.
I think that Franchitti will outrun Power on the ovals, but I think with a 13-point advantage, it may be a little too much, too little, too late.
I think you've had the advantage when you go into the last 2 races in the points lead. So I think Power may just pull it off here.
Robin? I just think Ganassi's so superior on the ovals this year, and Franchitti, he you know, it's like he just kind of is like, I got 2 races to go. I've done it before, and he's going to be grinding. It's going to be tough to beat Franchitti.
As was the case last year when he was in the championship points battle. Well, we don't have to wait long to find out who wins this championship. It'll be over before you know it. We will be on in 2 weeks with that next to the last race at Kentucky Speedway, the 1.5-mile oval there. Thanks for joining us here today at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Be sure to join us in 2 weeks, Sunday, October 2nd from Kentucky Speedway. Coverage begins with a Firestone Indy Light Series, followed by the Kentucky Indy 300 at 2 Eastern. IZOD, the official apparel of the IZOD IndyCar Series, available at Macy's. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. Congratulations to Scott Dixon, winner of the Indy Japan 300. For Jan Beekes, Wally Dallenbach, Kevin Lee, and Robin Miller, I'm Bob Jenkins. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Kentucky Speedway, 2 Eastern.
The IZOD IndyCar Series, presented by the NBC Sports Group.